Well, welcome everybody. Mike Sonic, as you know, and Dr. Ma, we've been hosting a weekly Zoom meeting for all of our colleagues in the field. We send this out to our study club and some people who we worked with in the past. The purpose of this is to give us a forum where we can talk, especially about locally in times of uncertainty. So what I'm going to do is I usually do is I'll take about 10 minutes to just give an introduction. And then I'm going to turn it over to John, who I've known for 5 or 6 years. We've become good friends and we colleagues. We do a lot of work together in this space. And he will talk to us about some of the things that we can do as individuals in terms of the crisis, to be leaders and to carry on. So, this crisis here has affected everybody in the world. Everything in the world has been changed. Most of us are shuttered our practices. We're not working, or if we're working very minimally, seeing patients under, extreme circumstances. The world's completely changed. We wait in lines now in grocery stores. Some of us will remember when we used to wait in line for gasoline. You have to stay 6 to 8 feet apart. I was in Whole Foods yesterday and I saw 6 or 7 people I knew, and none of us we nodded to each other. We were like afraid to engage in even a conversation. I was in the woods yesterday with Carol, and we were taking a walk, and I bumped into 3 people I knew, and they almost jumped away. They just didn't want to. They were afraid that I was going to engage in a conversation and might make them contaminated. The financial world is in chaos. It's acting like an errant teenager with a multiple personality disorder. The stock market goes up, it goes down, it's up and down. It makes no sense. In the book Good to Great by Jim Collins, which a lot of you have read, there's a story about somebody called Stockdale, Adam Stockdale. It's called the Stockdale Paradox. And Adam Stockdale was the highest ranking military officer captured during the Vietnam War, and he was at the Hanoi Hilton with Senator John McCain, who was there a long time, I believe 8 years. And he survived. And when he was interviewed about how he survived, he'd say that he'd never lose faith. Now, at this time right now, some of us are losing faith. We don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping for the best. When are we going to open again? What's it going to be like? How much money are we going to get, et cetera? And he said, when he asked who didn't make it, he says the optimists didn't make it. He goes, well, why did the optimists not make it? He goes, well, the optimists said, well, I'm going to get out of here by Christmas. And then when Christmas would come and they were still there, they got sad and disappointed, and a lot of them died. He says you can't confuse faith, with optimism. He says with faith, you know that you're going to prevail, and we're going to prevail through this period of time. But we have to have the discipline to confront the most brutal facts that are out there now. The opposite of fear is not faith. The opposite of fear is honesty and truth. And the truth is, we've been devastated economically as a country, as a world, in our practices. We're not making any income, most of us, at this point in time. We're not going to be getting out of it within the next 3 or 4 weeks. It's going to be a longer period of time. But we can do something about the now. We can make some changes now, and in that is the opportunity. My good friend, Bill McDonald, who's on this call, an anesthesiologist that I've worked with for 35 years, who some of you may not know, but was in the seminary for a year. He has a strong religious background, and he used to quote a nun that said, he says, act, as if everything depends upon God, or believe that if everything appears upon God, but act as if everything depends upon you. So believe in something that's going to work out, but you still have to do the work. If you sit there and say, I hope everything's going to be all right, but you don't do anything about it, usually nothing really good happens. And Tony Robbins says that every day you need to stand guard at the door of your mind. What does that mean? It means that our mind is what sort of messes us up sometimes, because we get very fearful. In that place of fear, we become powerless. Now, fear is there for a reason. There's there for a reason that we have fear. We don't want to get hit by a car. We don't want to get eaten by a lion. We want to run when a box, is falling from a building on top of us. But right now, the fear can be paralyzing. And how do we deal with that fear? Is we look at the facts and we deal with the things that we can deal with. Well, here are the facts. Over 600,000 people die every year due to the flu in the world. It's a high number. 80 to 90% of people with coronavirus have no symptoms. 15 to 20% of the women that gave birth in a hospital in New York have tested positive for coronavirus. The rate of infectivity, according to some, may be 50 to 85 times higher than the number who've tested positive for COVID. Right? So that's pretty much not different than regular influenzas. US death rate might be around 4 to 5% of those who've tested positive, but if 50 to 80 times more people have the disease than those who've tested positive, the death rate might be only 0.1%, which is consistent with influenza. So they're correlating today, as of today, there are over 41,000 deaths in the United States. We have 330 million people. Risk of death, 0.01%. Chances of us dying are about 1 out of 9,000. But we're scared to death. Chances of us dying of a car accident are much higher than that. So fear seems to control our minds. It can hijack us, and we're locked. We're locked into iPhones. We're locked into TVs. People get up and look at their cell phone before they go to the bathroom. They panic over some news that may or may not be true. CNN, Crisis News Network, makes us attracted to it by fear. The news is not good or bad. It's not fake or real, whatever it is. What it is very, very scary and startling. The reason that the news networks are on TV is because they sell products. The reason that they're there is not to inform us, but to startle us, so we'll watch it. We don't see any news about the cat on the top of the tree being rescued by the firemen, but the woman who's 94 years old that has COVID, as my friend's grandmother does, and is surviving. Those stories we don't have. We have the story of the infant that dies in Hartford. And we think that any infant can die. And the reason that we're attracted to the news is because instinctually we are attracted to things that are fearful, that are danger, because it protects us. It's an instinctual response that we have, but it doesn't serve us well today. So fear, as you know, can be crippling, but it's God-given. It can also suppress your immune system. There's an old study that some of the periodontists on here, Dave Rosanian, may know from the 80s, that during times of stress, as we all know in dentistry, we can get ANUG, acute necrotizing gingivitis. It's usually people who aren't sleeping, that are staying up all night, studying for tests, smoking, maybe they're doing speed or something like that. But also, there's an article that says that during those times of stress, one of the symptoms of acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis is losing the papilla. And that's also similar to people who used to have AIDS in the early days of AIDS. People would lose the papilla and they would look like they had ANUG. Well, what we found with acute necrotizing ulcerative gingivitis when you were stressed out, that your helper T cell relationship changed, looking like you had AIDS. So stress can actually make your immune system look like you have AIDS for a period of time. When the stress goes away, then the T cells and helper cells go back to their regular relationship. So what do we do in this time of crisis? We have to have the courage to look at what actually is there. Then we have to develop some new capabilities. We have to look at a future that's both bigger and brighter. This is an opportunity for us. I may be a little unusual because I don't really mind being home in front of my computer, reading, writing, and doing things like that. I'm creating a future that's going to be brighter and bigger than the one which I entered 2 months ago. I don't know when that's going to begin, but for me, it's beginning right now. I want to make the world a better place, and so do millions of scientists working on finding a solution to this disease. And so what are the opportunities that we have right now? Well, one, and this is why I brought John on, I wanted him to talk about leadership and what we can do, because we are leaders. We run staff, we run offices. We're leaders in our community. They call us doctor. We get reservations at restaurants because we're doctors. We get a lot of privileges because of that. But we're also looked at as the person that has to make the decision. People look to us all day long for that. And it gives us an opportunity also to do something really special. We have the time now to create. I've gotten so much done, as many of you have. I don't think my closet's ever been this clean before. My spices are alphabetized. Well, they actually were before that, so that's nothing new. I tend to have a little OCD. But I'd be able to create a lot of things that I wasn't able to create. I've We were able to clean our physical plant. So these are some of the things that we've done as a team in our office. Ray and I speak every day. We talk about finance. We talk about personal PPP. We talk about loaning. We talk about organizing. We talk about reducing expenses. We talk about the physical plant. As I've mentioned to you, I'm putting up a new fence. I'm doing the parking lot. We just renovated the inside of the office. Did the basement. We water sealed it. I'm looking right now in my yard. My desk is right in front of a window. My desk covered that window. I've been living in this house for 20 years. I never looked into my yard from this window because my desk was in front of it. It took me 20 years to move my desk to the side so I can actually work on the computer and look outside in my nice backyard at the same time. Something as simple as that just changed the quality of my life. You can negotiate with vendors, as many of you have done. You can decrease expenses. My wife and I went to the store a couple of days ago and we spent $670 on groceries. She goes, that's a lot of money. I said, yes, but we haven't taken an airplane. We haven't spent any money on a hotel. We haven't gone to a movie. We haven't gone to a Broadway play. We haven't spent thousands of dollars on things that we normally spend money on. We haven't done any shopping, except for a couple pairs of sweatpants from Amazon, but I haven't tried on a new suit or anything like that. We've spent very little money. We can learn new technologies. This technology that we're using now, for me, it's one of the first times I've used it within the last few weeks. And I can talk to you later about some of the things that we're doing as an office to build on what we're doing. Ray and I are doing a lot of Zoom meetings, not only with each other, with our staff, with our marketing team. And this week we're going to do a Zoom meeting with all of our patients. We're sending out an email to our 2,500, 3,000 patients, and we're going to have an online Zoom meeting for all of our patients to do question and answers because they're scared too, because they all want to come in and see us and they want to know what to do at home. I have my hygienist doing a 2-minute video on tips. We're sending those out to our patients. You know, we're doing that each week. Jose, my IT person, and Andrea, one of my marketing people, are creating a lot of cool things that we're going to be using in the future. And of course, I'm doing the things that you're doing. I'm sleeping more, exercising more, eating better. I've actually put on 4 pounds at home, not going out to dinner because I've been cooking so much. I'm reaching out to friends.